Welcome to a deep dive into the microbiome. Get ready to explore. Well, this amazing hidden world of trillions of bacteria and other microbes living inside you. We've got some really fascinating sources to dig into today. Research, historical perspectives, even a bit of science fiction to get us thinking.
It's going to be quite a journey.
Our mission today is to understand the impact of the microbiome on, well, just about everything. Health, behavior, even potentially society as a whole. We'll be exploring some intriguing questions like, can your gut bacteria influence your cravings? Could your microbiome even affect your personality? And how did scientists even discover this microscopic world inside us in the first place?
It's a fascinating history. Let's start with what the microbiome actually I guess is. It's not just bacteria. It's a complex ecosystem of billions of microbes living in and on your body, bacteria, fungi, viruses, even archaea.
Billions. Wow, that's a lot of roommates. So how did we figure out they were there?
Well, believe it or not, the first glimpses into this world came way back in the late 1600s with a Dutch scientist named Anthony van Leeuwenhoek. He used his handcrafted microscopes to observe what he called animalcules, tiny living creatures in samples of pond water, and even his own dental plaque.
That's amazing. So he was the first one to actually see bacteria. Did he have any idea how significant they were?
Not really. For a long time, the scientific focus was on microbes as agents of disease. Think Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch in the 1800s. Their work revolutionized medicine by identifying specific microbes that cause diseases, like anthrax and tuberculosis.
So for centuries, microbes were mostly seen as the enemy, something to be eradicated. When did that perspective start to shift?
It was a gradual process. In the 20th century, with more powerful microscopes and techniques for culturing bacteria, scientists began to appreciate the vast diversity of microbes and their roles in various ecosystems. But the real turning point came with the development of DNA sequencing technology.
That makes sense. Being able to analyze the DNA of these microbes must have opened up a whole new level of understanding.
Absolutely. DNA sequencing allowed scientists to identify and study the vast diversity of microbes in the microbiome, even the ones that couldn't be grown in a lab. This led to the launch of the Human Microbiome Project in 2007, a massive international effort to map the entire human microbiome.
Okay, so we went from animalcules to mapping out this entire microbial world. That's amazing. So how does the microbiome actually affect us? We're not just talking about digestion, are we?
No, not at all. Your body isn't just you, it's you plus trillions of these tiny organisms. And they're actively influencing your body's functions in some really profound ways. For example, the microbiome plays a critical role in training and modulating our immune system.
So our microbiome is actually helping us fight off disease.
Exactly. It helps our immune system distinguish between friendly bacteria and harmful pathogens. But it goes beyond that. One of our sources, a fascinating piece of science fiction, explores the idea of using drugs to alter the microbiome for cognitive enhancement.
Cognitive enhancement, you mean like making people smarter?
That's the idea. While that particular scenario is fictional, it highlights the growing interest in microbiome-based therapies. Scientists are investigating the potential of manipulating the microbiome to treat a wide range of conditions.
So how would that even work? Are we talking about something like a probiotic, but more targeted?
There are various approaches being explored. One that's already in use is fecal microbiota transplantation, or FMT. It involves transferring fecal matter from a healthy donor to a recipient to restore a balanced gut microbiome. It's been remarkably successful in treating recurrent Clostridium difficile infection, a serious bacterial infection of the colon.
I've heard about that. It sounds a little intense. Are there any less invasive approaches on the horizon?
Definitely. Researchers are working on developing more targeted therapies, such as engineered probiotics, designed to perform specific functions in the gut, or even using viruses called bacteriophages to selectively target and eliminate harmful bacteria.
That's pretty amazing. But back to that sci-fi scenario.
hmm
What evidence do we have that the microbiome can really influence our brains and behavior? I mean, it's in our gut, right? How does it reach our brain?
It's one of the most fascinating areas of research. Scientists are still unraveling the complex mechanisms involved, but we know the gut and the brain communicate through a network called the gut-brain axis.
The gut-brain axis. So they're actually sending signals back and forth. What kind of signals are we talking about?
The communication happens through a variety of pathways, nerves, hormones, immune signaling molecules, and even bacterial metabolites. These are byproducts produced by the bacteria as they break down food and other compounds.
Wait, metabolites. So those bacterial byproducts are actually traveling from our gut to our brain.
Yes, and some of these metabolites can have profound effects on brain function. For example, short-chain fatty acids, produced by the fermentation of fiber in the gut, are known to have anti-inflammatory and neuroprotective effects.
So those good bacteria are not only helping us digest our food,
Yeah.
but also producing substances that could protect our brains. That's incredible.
It is, and there's evidence that dysbiosis, an imbalance in the gut microbiome, can contribute to a range of neurological and psychiatric disorders. For example, some studies have found differences in the gut microbiome of people with depression and anxiety, autism spectrum disorder, even Parkinson's disease.
So this tiny world inside us could have a major impact on our mental health. This is really starting to blow my mind.
It's a paradigm shift in our understanding of health and disease. And it raises some fascinating questions about the potential of microbiome-based therapies for these conditions.
This is all so incredible. But if the microbiome is so important for our health, what influences its composition in the first place? Well, let's start talking about what shapes our microbiome. Is it all about what we eat, or are there other factors at play?
Diet is definitely a major player. You are what you eat, as they say. Or perhaps, more accurately, you are what your microbes eat. But it's not the only influence. Our genes, our environment, even our early life experiences all contribute to shaping our unique microbial communities.
So nature and nurture. What about those early life experiences? What kind of impact can they have?
Well, one of the most critical periods is infancy, the way we're born, vaginally or by C-section, has a significant impact on the initial colonization of bacteria in our gut. Babies born vaginally are exposed to a rich variety of microbes from their mother's birth canal, while babies born by C-section tend to have a less diverse microbiome initially.
That makes sense. What about breastfeeding versus formula feeding? Does that play a role too?
Absolutely. Breast milk contains special sugars called oligosaccharides that act as prebiotics, specifically nourishing beneficial bacteria like bifidobacteria in the infant's gut. Formula feeding, while necessary in some cases, doesn't provide the same prebiotic boost.
It seems like there's a theme emerging here. Diversity is key.
That's exactly right. A diverse microbiome is generally considered a healthy microbiome. It's more resilient, better able to adapt to changes, and better equipped to perform its various functions.
So how do we cultivate this diversity? We've already touched on diet, but are there other things we can do?
Besides a diet rich in diverse plant fibers, exposure to nature seems to play a role in promoting microbial diversity. Studies have shown that children who spend more time outdoors tend to have a richer variety of microbes in their gut.
Interesting. So getting our hands dirty and playing in the dirt might actually be good for us.
It seems counterintuitive.
Mhm.
But yes, exposure to soil microbes can be beneficial for immune system development and overall health. Of course, basic hygiene is still important, but we don't need to be afraid of a little dirt.
This is fascinating. So
Yeah.
we've got our diet, exposure to nature, and avoiding unnecessary antibiotics. But what about those situations where our microbiome gets out of whack? We've talked about dysbiosis, but how do we even know if we have it? Are there symptoms we should be looking out for?
It's a tricky question because the symptoms of dysbiosis can be very diverse and often nonspecific. Digestive issues like bloating, gas, constipation, or diarrhea are common, but dysbiosis can also manifest in other ways. Skin problems, allergies, fatigue, brain fog, mood swings, even autoimmune conditions.
Wow. That's a pretty wide range of symptoms. It,
Yeah.
it sounds like dysbiosis could be at the root of a lot of health issues.
It's becoming increasingly clear that the microbiome plays a role in many diseases and disorders, but it's important to remember that correlation doesn't equal causation. Just because someone has dysbiosis doesn't necessarily mean it's the cause of their health problems. More research is needed to understand these complex relationships.
So how do we even diagnose dysbiosis? Are there tests available?
There are some tests that can provide insights into the composition of your gut microbiome. Stool tests can analyze the DNA of the microbes present, giving you a snapshot of your microbial diversity and identifying any potential imbalances. However, it's important to note that the science of microbiome testing is still evolving.
So these tests might not give us all the answers yet. What about treatment options? What can people do to restore a healthy balance in their microbiome?
Well, we've talked about the importance of diet and lifestyle factors like stress management. In some cases, prebiotics and probiotics can be helpful. Prebiotics are those specialized plant fibers that nourish beneficial bacteria, while probiotics are live bacteria that can help replenish depleted populations.
Probiotics are pretty popular these days. It seems like you can find them in everything from yogurt to kombucha to supplements. But do they actually work?
That's a complex question. The effectiveness of probiotics can depend on a variety of factors, including the specific strains of bacteria used, the dosage, the individual's gut microbiome, and the condition being targeted.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Exactly. And while some probiotics have shown promising results in clinical trials for specific conditions, it's important to approach them with realistic expectations and consult with a healthcare professional to determine if they're right for you.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've talked about the impact of the microbiome on individual health, but our outline mentioned something about potential societal impacts as well. How does the microbiome fit into that bigger picture?
It's a fascinating and somewhat speculative area, but there are some intriguing hypotheses. For example, some researchers believe that the modern Western diet, with its high levels of processed foods, sugar, and unhealthy fats, might be contributing to a global shift in gut microbiome composition.
So we're talking about a kind of collective dysbiosis. How would that play out on a societal level?
Well, some researchers suggest that widespread dysbiosis could contribute to an increase in chronic diseases,
Mm.
including obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and even mental health disorders.
So what we eat could be impacting not only our own health, but also the health of society as a whole.
It's a compelling idea, but more research is needed to establish a clear link. However, it highlights the interconnectedness of our health and the health of our planet.
It's mind-boggling to think that these tiny organisms living inside us could have such far-reaching implications.
It really is a paradigm shift in our understanding of human biology and our place in the world.
This has been an amazing deep dive so far, and we're just getting started. We've explored the history of microbiome research, the impact of diet and lifestyle, and even touched on the potential societal implications of this hidden world within us. But before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, I want to pause for a moment and let our listener process all this incredible information. What stands out to you most about what we've discussed so far? What questions are popping up in your mind? Take a moment to reflect on these ideas, and we'll be back soon to explore even more fascinating aspects of the microbiome. Welcome back to our deep dive into the fascinating world of the microbiome.
It's amazing how much we've learned about this hidden universe inside us and how it impacts our health in so many ways.
It really is a paradigm shift. It makes you wonder, if we're just starting to understand the microbiome's complexity, what does the future hold for this field of research?
There are so many exciting avenues scientists are exploring right now. One area that's really heating up is personalized medicine, specifically tailored to an individual's microbiome.
That sounds incredibly futuristic. What would that look like in practice?
Imagine going to the doctor, getting your microbiome sequenced, and receiving completely personalized recommendations for diet, lifestyle changes, even targeted probiotic therapies, all designed to optimize your gut health.
So instead of a one-size-fits-all approach to health,
Mhm.
we're moving towards a more individualized understanding of what our bodies need, like having a custom-made roadmap for your well-being.
Exactly, and it goes beyond just individual health. Researchers are also investigating how the microbiome might be harnessed to address global challenges like food security and climate change.
Wait, how does the microbiome connect to issues like food security and climate change?
Well, think about agriculture. The microbiome of the soil plays a crucial role in plant health and nutrient absorption. By understanding and manipulating these microbial communities, scientists believe we can develop more sustainable farming practices and improve crop yields.
So we could potentially feed more people with fewer resources, all thanks to a deeper understanding of the microbiome. That's incredible.
It's definitely a promising area of research. And then there's the connection to climate change. Certain microbes in the environment, particularly those in the oceans and soil, play a vital role in regulating Earth's climate by absorbing and releasing greenhouse gases.
So by understanding these microbial processes, we might be able to develop strategies for mitigating the effects of climate change.
Exactly. It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of all living systems and harnessing the power of nature to find solutions to these global challenges.
This is all so mind-blowing. It feels like we've only just scratched the surface of what the microbiome can teach us.
We have. And that's what makes this field so exciting. There's so much more to discover. And the potential benefits for human health and the planet are enormous.
It's truly humbling to realize that this invisible world within us could hold the keys to solving some of the biggest challenges facing humanity. But for now, let's bring it back to our listener and what they can do to take care of their own microbiome.
Absolutely. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, but it all boils down to a few key takeaways. Nourishing your microbiome with a diverse diet rich in plant fibers, managing stress through practices like mindfulness and exercise, and being mindful of antibiotic use are all crucial steps you can take to foster a thriving inner ecosystem.
It's empowering to know that we have the ability to shape our microbiome through our daily choices. It's not about being perfect. It's about making small, sustainable changes that support a healthy balance within.
And remember, the microbiome is a dynamic system. It's constantly evolving and responding to our environment and our choices. So be curious, stay informed, and continue to nurture this amazing hidden world that plays such a vital role in your well-being.
Well said. And on that note, we'll leave you to continue exploring this fascinating frontier of science. We hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity and inspired you to take a closer look at the incredible world of microbes that make up your unique inner ecosystem.
Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring,
Oh,
and keep feeding those good gut bacteria.